right.
Okay.
Here we go. Hey.
Oh.
All right. All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
How's that?
Can you see our
Okay,
Can you see our PowerPoint?
Yep, you're good.
Okay, good.
Okay. Hold on. Let me get it actually on the PowerPoint.
I hope it's a good thing that we're the guinea pigs for you guys for Zoom. But if it doesn't work out well and it's not very fun, it might be us and might not really be Zoom. So
Doubtful, John, doubtful.
well, first of all, we want to say thank you for so many things. We want to say thank you for a year of wonderful partnership, of great communication, ideas bouncing off back and forth, different things, lots of different things that have been done there that we haven't been able to be a part of because we're not on the ground there. But a lot of things also going on here. The team that visited back in May, gosh, what a wonderful time we had, and so many things accomplished, but also so many things learned and experienced together. Just a wonderful time, a wonderful partnership so far, and we are just blessed by that. So we want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who are here today to hear us and to hear about what's going on. And thank you to all of you who have contributed in different ways to this partnership. It really has been a blessing for us. You already know who we are because our names are on the screen and you've heard about us, but we just want to tell you just really quickly before we get started or as we get started what we do, and just to introduce to you the ministry among the Roma people here in Slovakia. We live in Košice, Slovakia, and we should have put a map up on the screen because some people, we tell them that we live in Slovakia, and they say, is that in Africa? Where is that? So a lot of people don't know, but it is in Eastern Central Europe. And we have been here for 2 years now on the ground, and we're here to work with the Roma people, who you probably know more commonly as gypsies. So that is who we are and what we do, and we want to tell you a little about ourselves and about the Roma, and then share how that has impacted us and you already, and how you can be a part of it.
So this is our family. The girls, Abigail is the older, and Caitlin is the younger in the green jacket. They are in the 3rd and 4th grades, 8 and 9 years old, and they are in Slovak schools, learning in Slovak. They have some friends that speak English, but they typically play with their friends in Slovak. It's a lot of fun to listen to them kind of combine English and Slovak as they play with their friends. But they are doing well and enjoying living here, and just are learning and growing a lot, and really beginning to understand their relationship with Christ and how that means being compassionate to the world. And it's exciting to see them growing. So those are our girls and us. Actually, I think Ann Brown took that picture. So thanks, Ann.
As we start, we want to show a video. It is not our video. It is a video that was made by another organization, and it just has some beautiful, very typical Roma music in it, but it tells the story of the Roma people quickly, and tells about the things that they're experiencing here in Europe. So we want to play that video for you, and I hope that it all goes according to plan.
And when the video is done, we're going to ask you some questions. So
be ready.
The Roma people, often called gypsies, arrived from India centuries ago and moved throughout Europe. Denied professions and land, they roamed in caravans with trades handed down through generations. Musicians, craftsmen, horse traders, performers. They were objects of suspicion and mythology, victims of persecution, discrimination, slavery, and genocide. Today, an estimated 10 million Roma live across Europe. They come from diverse tribes and clans with varying dialects and religions. Pushed to the margins of society, the Roma have made their homes in cities, suburbs, and isolated villages across Europe. Roma communities face eviction, harassment, deportation, overt public racism, ethnic violence, and pogroms. In 2010, hundreds of Roma were expelled from France, while in Italy, thousands have been left homeless as their camps are systematically demolished. According to the Washington Post, the deputy mayor of Milan has described gypsies as dark-skinned people, not European, like you and me. Fewer than 40% of Roma children receive a basic primary education. 26% of Roma in Central and Eastern Europe are completely illiterate. Roma communities have minimal access to healthcare, resulting in a child mortality rate 3 times higher than majority population. In Romania, 68% of Roma households reported having their children go hungry for lack of food at least once in the previous month. Most vulnerable of all, Roma girls often face child marriage, early childbirth, and community pressure to abandon education. Roma are also the fastest growing demographic in Europe, with a young population in search of a living wage and a place to make a home. They are doctors and lawyers, beggars and performers, students and teachers, voters and leaders. To survive and prosper, they fight entrenched poverty and distrust with hope, education, and activism. Roma are European citizens, endowed with full rights and responsibilities, but largely excluded from the benefits of democratic freedom and economic progress. But recently, lawmakers and international institutions have been putting Roma on the world's agenda. The European Union is working towards a common Roma strategy. The Decade of Roma Inclusion, a coordinated 10-year effort by 12 countries in Central and Eastern Europe, aims to measurably improve Roma welfare by 2015. Since 2003, the National Democratic Institute, or NDI, has empowered Roma communities to speak out and make change real through the ballot box, media advocacy, and local government. Change is happening. In 2004, Hungary elected Livia Jourová as the first Romani member of the European Parliament. Throughout the region, Roma entered politics as local councillors, mayors, and members of parliament, looking to give their people a voice in government. In Slovakia alone, voters elected 29 Roma candidates, including one woman, to lead their communities as mayors. Armed with new political tools and a strong belief in their own ability to affect change, the Roma are advocating for a better life and reconciliation through civic activism and community organisation. Who are the Roma?
Sono Roma.
Io sono Roma.
Roma.
Ja sam Romi.
Soy Roma.
Roma. Je suis Roma.
Yes, Roma.
Je suis Roma.
Ja, Rom.
Man, Roma has that.
Ich bin Roma. Roma.
We are the Roma.
All right. Were you all able to hear most of that? Yes. Okay, good. Well, we just want to have, we've got a few talking points that we want to ask you guys and just kind of get some feedback on what you already knew and what that might have kind of helped you see. The first question is, what are some things that you have heard others say about gypsies or about Roma?
Feel free to shout them out.
Dishonest.
Dishonest.
Uh-huh, for sure.
Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Handouts.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Good. Good. Have any of you guys had any experience with Roma or with gypsies other than the group that came?
Yes.
Yes.
Have your experiences been positive? Have any of you had positive experiences?
There's some yeses and a clear no over here.
Good. Yeah. I mean, not good that you had a bad experience, but thanks for your honesty. What are some things that surprised you, knowing what you already knew about Roma, about gypsies? What surprised you about this video, or what stood out to you?
How happy they were.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah.
How many countries they're in.
Yeah, the languages at the end kind of really display that, I think. Very cool. Yeah.
What else?
The success of some.
There's some success.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Few and far between, but they are there, aren't they? Yeah. Anything else?
The poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stark.
Very stark. Mm-hmm.
Education.
Lack of education.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Was it 42% of children?
Less than 40%.
Yeah.
Receive a primary education.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And it's a generational thing, of course, and we see it here. It's a generational thing. Go ahead.
Resiliency. The word.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Good. Good. Thank you guys for engaging with us in that. Yeah, we have seen all of those things, plus some, of course, plus some. We've got kind of a little display here. So when we say Roma, we mean what you've heard as gypsy, but yet we don't. Because typically in Europe and even in the States, the word gypsy is used with a very negative connotation, the very negative feeling. Some people have even related it to it being as strong as the N word. We don't see that where we live, but it has been seen that that is true. So we don't use the word, the G word. We say Roma because we want to honor these people and we want to honor the resiliency and the great things about what they have. So you'll hear us say Roma from now on until we see this slide.
And this just shows a little bit of the past. I mean, gosh, we could talk for a long time about their history. The Roma people, the people that are known now as the Romani, came from India, came from the area of India and migrated here several hundred years ago into Europe, trickled across Europe. The idea that you see on the screen is kind of the normal idea that we think of with them, very romanticized, traveling around in caravans, magicians, fortune tellers, metal workers, horse trainers, and horse people who work with horses and other animals. A very romanticized idea, and they did live that way for quite a while. And they came to be very distrusted among Europeans. They got a very bad name. In fact, the name Gypsy comes from the idea that they were somehow Egyptians, and they took this mantle upon themselves and took that almost as a religious mantle, that they had been Egyptians and that they were supposed to be sheltered because the Egyptians had sheltered the Christ child, had sheltered Jesus when his family fled there when Herod was looking for him. And so they used all kinds of things throughout their history to get advantages among the European people, which is why they were just mistrusted. And that mistrust turned into so many other things. It turned into slavery in some countries. In some places, it turned into just outright rejection and pushing them out. During the Holocaust, there's really no actual estimate. Well, there's estimates between 250,000 and 1.5 million Roma that were killed in the Holocaust, along with the other people. But there's really no way of knowing because they were so low down on the scale that they really weren't even counting them by that point. So the mistrust and this idea of hatred against them is very strong and very deep in all of Europe, and especially here in Slovakia and in eastern Slovakia. The Roma of Slovakia today live in very poor conditions, almost all of them. And one of the reasons that we were called to this area to work here is because there's such a high concentration of Roma in eastern Slovakia. You can see pictures on the screen of places like where they live. Off in the distance there on the left-hand side, you can see very nice houses, typical Slovak houses, and then just there across the road, sometimes literally across the railroad tracks, are shacks, cottages, the best of things that they can afford, the shells of old houses that have already been looted and basically just nothing left but walls and a roof. They live in very terrible conditions in some places. And it's really not getting any better because there's a lot of discrimination against them. And you saw some of the pictures of protests during that video and nationalist movement. Things are really difficult for them here. And yet, we see God at work among the Roma people here in Slovakia, among the Roma people all around, but especially here in Slovakia and eastern Slovakia. We've seen God's Spirit moving. And this video that you saw was this National Democratic Institute, and they are trying to affect change, not an organization that we work with. They're trying to affect change through voting rights and through getting out the vote and things like that, which is important. But the places that we've seen the biggest difference being made is among people whose God's Spirit is moving, both on Slovak side, people whose hearts are softening towards the Roma, and on the side of the Roma, whose hearts are softening towards others and toward a changed way of life. So that is why we're here. God has called us here because God's already working here. And we're glad to be joining in that and seeing and just amazed each day and seeing what God is doing around us.
So on that note, one more slide.
Sorry, we forgot this slide. The things that we see most common that the Roma in Slovakia lack are access to basic things that everybody else has. One of those things is access to jobs. They are discriminated against in the workplace. They are not able to get the same jobs as their white counterparts are. They don't have the same access to health care and to housing, just to those basic needs, physical needs that everybody else has. They don't have access to education like the others do, especially in the systems here. European systems don't know how to educate Roma children because there's such a different culture and such a different mindset. They try to make them little clones of the other lighter skinned children around them, but they won't be those clones because they're not the same. So Roma really don't have the same access to education as others do, and they don't always have access to the gospel. In fact, just recently, a version of the New Testament has been finished in the local Romani dialect, which is all that's spoken in some of the villages around here. So the gospel is not always able to be, they're not able to have the gospel as readily and as freely as others.
So our calling and our vision lines up with what's going on here already in Slovakia. And one of the things that we, of course, believe in is that we spread the good news of Jesus Christ, and we watch and let God's Spirit make a difference. That we are the hands and feet of Christ, that we are the presence of Christ where we are, and that Jesus Christ and His Spirit and the Spirit of God is really what makes the difference as we are here. We also believe in the empowering people, empowering the Roma people to figure out what it is that's good in them and that's special and that's spirit-filled, and to help them find those places rather than just coming in and riding in on our white horse and saving them or throwing clothes at them. We want to empower them to really make a difference in their own communities themselves. Of course, education to us is a huge deal. As the video said, it's just so important to us that they receive a proper education, that they have access to that. So we're really trying to work in the schools and help find ways that we can help educate them. And then to help them develop their God-given gifts. So we try to help them figure out what it is, like I said, what are their assets, what are the great things about them, and then find ways that they can use those to further God's kingdom and also to help their people grow and develop. So some of the things that we've been doing in order to fulfill this vision are working in a local school. So, well, actually a school that's about an hour and a half away from here. It's a gymnasium, so it's at a high school level school. These kids are preparing to go to college, and it is very, very rare for a Slovak child to prepare to go to college. But these are some great kids that you see in front of this fence right here. And they're really trying to make a difference in their own lives and in the lives then of the generations to come. So we go in and we help teach English with this sweet redheaded lady in the picture. And we try to give her good examples of pronunciation. And the kids are always excited the days that we come. She's always so much more hopeful, I think, the days that we're able to be there and she's able to have that connection with us. And she gets why we do what we do. So it's really exciting that we've been able to work with her in the past couple years. We also had the opportunity to teach an English club in the church where we attend. So we have Slovaks and Roma who come to this, and mostly church members, but we've had a number of folks outside the church coming, working with them. We have an advanced level and then a very beginner level, and they're so cute. This group right here that you see is the advanced level. This is some of the CBF of Virginia folks meeting with our advanced level class and just getting to know them a little bit better. That was a fun time. So the ESL class and working with the church. The church is also involved in a lot of things in the villages. So we've had an opportunity to go out into the villages. You can probably find the two little white girls in that group. That had an opportunity to go into the villages and really help the church minister in the villages and really get to know these kids and get to know some of these families and just see some of the conditions that these kids live in. There. And then kind of pushing into the future. So work in the churches, work with the church in the villages, work with the English club, and then work at the school in Kežmarok, which is about 2 hours away. But in the future, we see another school in Košice, which we actually originally came for. There is a elementary level school that we're hoping to work with. We have a meeting on Tuesday with the headmaster there, and we've met with her a few times, and we're really excited about starting some after-school clubs and some things there with them, really excited about that opportunity to work with those kids. And then also to use our gifts of creativity and music and arts and those kind of things to help meet these kids and to help them better themselves, again, help them find themselves. So that's kind of our calling, to find where God is already at work among the people and join God in that work.
When we talk about where we've seen God working, we don't typically talk just about events. In fact, we really don't often talk about events or buildings or anything like that, because where we see God working and see God moving is in the hearts of specific people. So we want to tell you about a few people where we've seen God's moving in their hearts and moving in their lives. We want to tell you about a young Roma man who, even though he has a degree in veterinary science and medicine, he has difficulty getting a job. When he does get one, the hard labor often causes him back pain and back problems, but he is an amazing, talented musician. He believes in the innate musical talent of the Roma children, and he's seen it, and he dreams one day of having a conservatory in some of the Roma villages in the area. He wants to help them learn how to use their talents and how to share the love of God with them as he teaches. His name is Leo. That's him sitting at the piano right there, and he points us to Jesus.
We also want you to know about a retiree age Slovak lady. She's a teacher in a local Roma high school. Even though she has had prejudices about Roma her whole life, she's learning to love and to give to her students. She sees that God has called her to help these students, even when the giving of herself seems to reap no harvest. She's kind, playful, but firm as she teaches them how to speak English, knowing that these skills will help them in their life. Her name is Anna, and she points us to Jesus.
We want to tell you about a group of Americans of different ages, different professions, but all interested in seeing what God is doing here among the Roma. They traveled across the ocean to Slovakia and helped teach at a Roma high school, telling the students about their lives in America and listening to the students as they practiced their English. They sat with adults inside a small Roma church, talking with them and hearing about their joys and struggles. They learned about the work among the Roma and studied the history of segregation here in Slovakia. They encouraged a missionary couple and their two young girls and brought them gifts and love from America. These were our friends from CBF of Virginia, and they pointed us to Jesus.
So, how can you be a part? We have to go there at some point, right? There are lots of ways that you can be a part, and giving, investing your money is one way. Giving to the Offering for Global Missions, giving to us individually as partner-funded missionaries. These are all ways that you can be a part and invest with your money. But this is not the only way to be a part. It is an important part, but it is not the only way to be a part of what's going on here. Another way, of course, is to pray. To pray for maybe something, God laid something on your heart tonight or today. It's tonight for us, today for you. Maybe God laid something on your heart this afternoon that you heard, something specific that was brought out to you that you should pray for us, for work that's going on in one of the places, for the children, whatever it is that God laid on your heart. We ask and we pray that you would pray also with us and for us in this work.
Another way that you can be a part of what's going on here is learn more about the Roma people. We could talk for hours about just the amazing things that we've learned, the Roma people that we've met, the situation that they face here, all of those things. But that's nothing compared with what you could learn on your own from reading on the internet, from finding books, and not just reading and learning, but also telling other people what you've heard. Tell people about the Roma, because most of them don't even know who they are apart just from the name Gypsy and all the stereotypes and the baggage that comes along with that word. Tell people about these beautiful people who are here in the heart of Europe, living in conditions that people in other parts of the world would not be able to believe. It's really amazing who these people are, what they've endured. Like someone said, their resiliency, their creativity, their nature that is fun-loving and emotional. All of these things are wonderful about them, and that's why we love them. And we want you to fall in love with them too, and to tell other people about the Roma. And finally, a way that you can be a part is to come and to serve with us, to learn about the Roma people firsthand, to meet some of these amazing people whose lives we've seen God working in, and to be a part of what God is doing here. And we hope hope that CBF Virginia can continue to do that. Your own churches can continue to provide opportunities for that. And we are certainly glad to let you know about more ways that you can connect with us by coming, serving alongside us, and helping us learn from each other as we learn from the Roma.
So that's the conclusion of our official presentation. Our information is on the screen, but we also just wanted to give an opportunity for you guys to ask questions or to engage with what you've heard and what we've said.
Anybody have any questions for Jon and Tanya?
Yeah. So oftentimes, at least when I lived in Spain for a while, the Roma are still not considered citizens. Is that the case in Slovakia? Is that why they don't have the access to things, or is it literally just written in the law of racism?
Did you hear the question?
Yeah, we did.
They are citizens here. In fact, some of these, some Slovaks would be amazed to find out that some of their Roma neighbors have a deeper heritage in this part of the world than their own families do. Not only do they have the heritage, but they are citizens. And yet, because they have the darker skin color, because they are of a different temperament, a different personality, a different culture type than the local majority, they are treated as completely other. So even though they are citizens, they are not always given the same rights as citizens.
And they have access to healthcare. They have access to those things, but it's not always the best access. Does that make sense? It's not always the best care.
They show up at the hospital, they would be treated differently from somebody with
When we
lighter
showed up at
skin
the
who
hospital.
shows up at the hospital. They go to school, the teacher will treat the children differently than they would treat the lighter colored children. Most of the teachers would. These things are changing. It's very slow. But for the most part, they're citizens, and in theory, they have all the same rights, but they don't have the same voice because they're the minority. And therefore, they don't always get the rights that they deserve.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it was like to learn the language?
To learn, as if we're finished,
Yes.
huh?
We'll tell you once we're finished. We'll tell you what it's like. No, it is a difficult language.
Imagine walking on hot coals. It is not an easy language.
It is a complicated language. All of the words change depending on how you're using them. But you know, from people coming in different parts of the world, they say English is difficult to learn. So it has been difficult for us. We would like, I dream that one day I'll know Slovak well enough that I can learn Romanus, the language of the Roma people here. That is, and like I said before, sometimes you go in the villages, that's all you can hear. But we have to learn Slovak first because of the way the Roma moved around. Their language is a very basic language, and the root words go all the way back to India. But they picked up words from the different places in the world that they've been, and the people around this region, their language is very influenced by the Slovak language, so they have Slovak words and things like that. So there's actually two languages really that we would need to learn in order to be completely effective and to live among them. But obviously the main language right now is Slovak that we're learning just so that we can survive here. And it's difficult, but it's so
humbling.
important. It is humbling.
When you go somewhere and you can make a sentence like a 2-year-old might make a sentence. Eat that now, please. You know, so it is very humbling.
I set them up for that question because we did some language learning while we were there, and we had problems with please and thank you. We couldn't get them out the same way anytime. And the girls were always correcting us.
They do
correcting
that.
us too.
Yes.
That's normal.
Anybody else? Other questions? Yeah.
Are most of the families, they have mother and father, and are they small amount of children or large?
Did you hear the question?
Are most of the families a mother and father?
Children. How many children in a family?
Good question.
It varies. In general, they will have a good number of children, maybe 4 or 5 children.
Yeah. They're kind of known to have larger families than Slovaks.
One of the things that's different, just because of Roma culture that they have inherited over so long is that they are a very strongly family-based culture. So the mothers and fathers usually stay together. There are instances when they don't, and sometimes the ones that we see that are divided families or separated families, it's because the husband has gone to another country to look for work and is sending money back. There's a lot of loyalty and fidelity to family among the Roma. So the instances that we would typically see in other places of deep poverty, of the separation like that of families, doesn't happen as often here.
Great question.
Good, very good question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
How are you accepted among Roma and Slovakia?
Oh, we accepted them. Yeah, great, super great question. We were very fortunate to get involved in this church that we've been talking about. It is a Roma church that has also Slovak believers there as well. And they have really been amazing in embracing us, both the Slovaks and the Roma. In the schools when we go in, we are very much accepted. I mean, they're not like, hey, come hang out with us, let's go for a smoke or whatever. But that's okay with me, I guess.
Coffee, maybe?
Yeah, maybe coffee, maybe.
Coffee and cigarettes.
So in the schools, they still very much see us as teacher, but they have been very accepting and very warm and open to us. In our church, they have welcomed us as friends and as family. They call us brother and sister. I mean, those of you, I think, who were here before would attest to how welcome and open both the Slovaks and the Roma have been to us. For any of you that know much about like warm cultures and cold cultures, so warm cultures are cultures that are loving outwardly. They're more touchy. They're more high when they see you on the streets, that kind of thing. Very community oriented.
Togetherness.
That's Roma. Yeah, that's Roma. Cold cultures. Slovaks are very traditional. They pass you on the street and no eye contact is made, no hello. It is not their form of being rude. It's just how they relate to one another.
It takes a long time to build friendships and relationships with them.
But once you're in, you're in. And once they have you in their group of people, they are very loving and kind and caring, and they go out of their way to help you. And we've had so many Slovaks and Roma do that for us. We've been very well accepted. We've been very fortunate.
And just to add on to that, it kind of dovetailing back into a previous question, the fact that we're learning their language, the Slovak language, makes all the world of difference. The people here in Eastern Slovakia, their idea of Americans is usually kind of arrogant, and really not. Most of the Americans I know would never even bother to learn the Slovak language. It's just too difficult.
Or if they do, they try for a few months and realize it's not going to happen, so they stop trying.
So the fact that we're trying to speak their language just makes a world of difference to them. And has broken down some of those barriers that normally would have taken a long time to get over in a cold climate culture. Yeah. Another good question. Thank you.
The situation you describe of the citizenship and the discrimination, and they have rights, but they're not really given their rights, sounds an awful like our own history of 100 years ago. Are there any lessons from our national experience that you can use there, since they're facing the same kinds of things that our country has already faced?
A great question. Yes. And they are aware of those parallels also, and they can look here and they see, in their history, look, they have overcome that, or they've made more steps to overcome it, so it can be done. Some of the lessons that we've learned, one of them is that from looking back, is that it takes both sides coming together, that the problems and the difficulties and the discrimination here that the Roma face is not a one-sided issue. It's not that the Slovaks are always just hating on Roma and that's just the way it is. There's a lot of reasons for that, and there's a lot of deep issues that need to be solved on both sides, so that it's going to be two sides coming together, but also learning, and this is an example we keep coming back to, is that it was not until people among the African Americans really began to stand up and be the voice for their own people, speaking to their own people, saying, we have to make a difference ourselves, we have to change ourselves, that the differences really began to be made. And we see that has to happen here, that the Roma have to find their own identity. Strong leaders are going to have to stand up and begin to speak Roma to Roma, this is what we have to do to change. And until that happens, the changes that are necessary are not going to happen.
We have time to entertain one more question, maybe? Yeah.
Could they do a sentence or a verse in the local language?
They want to hear you speak some Slovak. Maybe a sentence or a verse or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you want to learn how to say hello?
Teach us
You
something.
can learn how to say hello. It's dobry dzień. Dobry dzień. Yes, dobry dzień. And that just means good day. And you can use that pretty much any time of the day. You can teach them something else.
So, ahoj, dobrý den, volám sa Tanya. Ako sa máte?
How are you?
So what I just said was, hello, my name is Tanya. How are you?
Yeah, we have to be careful with the ahoy, so we don't sound like
Ahoy, not ahoy.
It's not like a pirate. Emphasis is on the first syllable. It's ahoy, which is their way of just saying hi and bye.
That's an easy one. Ahoy.
Yeah, ahoy. And goodbye is do widzenia. Practice that. Do widzenia. Good. Do widzenia. And it means literally until seeing again, until we see each other again. It's a very beautiful word. Slovak is a really amazing language. It's very well. It's very crafted, and all the words fit together well, and it's very clever the way they've done it. And sometimes it's a little too clever for our good as we're trying to learn it.
Okay. Anybody else? Maybe one more.
Special things we can refrain for that.
Yep. Yeah.
They ended by saying you could come serve. What might you do?
Did you hear the question?
No.
Ended by saying they could come and serve. What might they do if they came and served?
Mm-hmm.
What we like to do is, if there are people who want to come and serve, we like to talk with them about what their gifts are and what kind of things they could give, what kind of things they could do. And then we try to find ways that within what we're doing, you can help do those things. So that we're not trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, but yet we're figuring out what things match the needs. There are tons of needs around here. So what are the things that you are good at, and what are your assets, and how can we plug those assets into what's going on?
So the
some
quick answer
examples
to that
are
is almost anything. But some examples of things that we have thought of have been camps, English language camps for some of these Roma kids. Can make a world of difference for them as far as being able to be in an environment where they're loved, where they're supported, where they can have a good meal, more than a couple of times a week. A camp like that would be an idea. Working in the schools and coming and doing things in the schools is another idea, because there's always work to do in the two schools that we work in and in other schools as well. There's opportunities for that.
Both teaching opportunities and manual labor type opportunities there.
VBS kind of camps for kids in some of the local neighborhoods and things and villages. There's a lot of need for that. Most of them in these villages, they just don't have anything to do during the summertime. It's not like they're going to be going on vacation or anything like that. They're just home. And it's a wonderful opportunity to reach out to them. Lots of different opportunities. So if you're interested in coming, please contact us. And we'll talk together about the kind of things that you are able to bring to the table, and we can definitely find a place for you to work here.
Thank you all for all your great questions. I'm going to take that microphone. There might be an echo, just so you guys know.
Okay, thanks.
I'll leave you up on the screen until Ian comes and closes us in prayer. But I'm going to say a couple of things first. One of those is, if you are interested in knowing specifically what you might pray for, they put up there, praying with feet, .blogspot.com, is that right? But you can sign up to receive the monthly email. They're pretty good about posting stuff to that, sending things to you. If you want to know more about them specifically and their ministry in Slovakia, that's a great way to just stay connected. You don't even have to think about it. Just come straight to you. I'm going to plug that for you. You're welcome. I'll take my commission later. Second thing is, look at my notes. The flowers in the center of the table. Those were made by Jenny Core's mom, but we would love to accept your donations for them if you'd like to take one home with you.
That's awesome.
$30 would be a donation. It would be a donation to CBF Virginia. If you're interested at all, find Jenny. She's sitting back here right now. She'd be happy to hook you up with those, and we'll let you take them home with you at the end of the day. Also, Jon and Tanya are going to stay up here on this Zoom for us just a little while longer. So if any of you would like to, I saw a couple of you sneaking up here early. I saw that. But if you'd like to come and speak to them, they'd love to hear from you personally. So I will take them off the large audio once we're officially done, so that not everyone hears the conversation. But
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And then also 2 o'clock, Stephen Porter, 2 o'clock over in the chapel. That's our next time after this. But I'm going to invite Ann Brown to come up and say a word.
Jon and Tanya, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
It was very special for all of us to get to talk with Jon and Tanya. It was special for us to get to follow them. As you might guess from what you've seen today, we had a lot of fun. But we also got to see firsthand how they do what they do. The first thing we saw when we got there, Abigail and Caitlin set us down for a language lesson. And we started to see that this is truly a family ministry. As we went through the week, we saw that Jon and Tanya do not do things for people. They do things with the people there. We had to wonder a little bit why a Roma family with 3 generations living in 3 tiny rooms would invite us to come and give us one of their rooms for the night. I have to believe it's because Jon and Tanya have made them part of their ministry team. And this was the way that they did ministry together. Jon and Tanya also made it clear as they talked about the support they have in prayer and finances that we are all part of their team. And we were so thankful that we could be among their team. One thing Abigail and Caitlin did was have treat bags for us when we got there with cards that they had handmade. I want you to hear what Caitlin wrote in my card and think about the team that they are forming. So glad you are with us. We are so glad that you are here. We wish you could stay here forever. Would you pray with me? God our Father, it's been good to be here together today and to learn about the work that you're doing in Slovakia. We thank you for Jon and Tanya and Abigail and Caitlin and Leo and Anna and Christina and all the other people who are working together for you. We thank you that we can be part of that effort. We ask your blessings on all of those working, on Jon and Tanya especially, for wisdom and courage, for their language studies, for all the ways that they are serving you. Please help us as we work together to show your love and change hearts forever. In Jesus' name, amen.
You are dismissed for, you want to say something? I don't know, Rob came up to the front like he was ready to say something.
I just wanted to tell you you've earned about a 30-minute or 20-minute kind of break. Enjoy the fellowship, have a second cup of coffee, and we'll meet again 2 o'clock sharp in the chapel.